Travis Wayne Goodsell, back from my run and uploading the video I did before. If you remember the press conference that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints held when Monson died and Nelson took over, he had reporters pre-assigned, and I think they were supposed to have pre-arranged questions so that there wouldn't be any surprises, because it was clear, as critics had noticed, Oakes was speaking the words of Nelson as if they were reading from a teleprompter. And yeah, I'm trying to pull a fast one on the audience. But one of those press reporters was Jennifer Napier Pierce from the Salt Lake Tribune. Jennifer Napier Pierce has been a critic of the church, and I guess technically has been the only reporter to do investigations of the church and their criminal activities. Outside of Fox 13's Max Roth, who uncovered that the church had developed LLC companies and then received $32 billion, of which the church then laundered into the stock market. And this was right after Nelson announced that he is working with Russia. Jennifer Napier Pierce was the one who exposed the church for Elder Pullman's changed conference talk. Back in October conference 1984. You can no longer find it. It's not there anymore. I believe it's 84, or is it 86? 86 was Benson when he took over. One of those years. I remember looking up on the church to look for it again for reference to my lawsuit against the church. And it was now gone. I had just obtained that version for Russell, my neighbor, who wants the conference talks on digital because of his physical disability. And so, yeah, I didn't provide him with the other version, which he was asked to change, and it was Jennifer Napier Pierce who exposed and exploited that corruption of the church. The talk, if you're wanting to know, because you don't know, had to do with Elder Pullman separating church from gospel, that the two are distinct, and that regardless of the church's changes, the gospel will always remain the same. The church said, no, they are one and the same. You will change it or you will be excommunicated. And he changed it. He had no problem with it. Whatever. He gave in to the extortion threat by the church. But in that press conference, as Nelson then announced Jennifer, he then said, oh, I know your parents. I know your family. We go way back. And if you don't know Jennifer Napier Pierce, that she's a critic of the church, that she investigates the crimes and corruption of the church and reports on it, then you do not understand what Nelson did to her in that public press conference. he shamed her and then threatened her publicly as the brand new president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And then Nelson went on to shame her and disrespect her even more by not answering the second part of her question, of which she then had to remind him, hey, you didn't answer the second part. And then he was pretending to be, oh, what? Did I miss it? It's not on the monitor for me to read. Yeah. So it's possible she threw in a question that wasn't supposed to be asked. Or they purposely withdrew the question so that it wouldn't be asked. She's now quit from being an editor for the Salt Lake Tribune last August. And so it's kind of concerning why she was let go or forced out of the work or quit, resigned. It says here who resigned from her post at the Tribune in August, and it's from the Salt Lake Tribune. So you can't quite trust the way they word it, but Spencer Cox, the governor-elect, has asked her to be, let's see, his, come on, what is it? What is she going to be? Communications director, senior advisor and communications director. What he's done is silenced her. The Salt Lake Tribune already silenced her. The Salt Lake Tribune yesterday no longer prints newspapers. I'm assuming they still do online stuff. I'm still seeing they subscribe and log in on their website. So they're going full digital now. Well, the other video is now done. The Mormon Village. Alrighty. My goodness. Large number of likes for the LDS Church myth of Joseph Smith Jr. So, that's what is done here in Utah. The church tries all different ways, accessing all the various Mormons in various key positions around Utah to protect the church, silence any critics, and have everybody deceived as to everything is just fine, nothing's wrong, nothing to see here, get out of here. As YouTube is part of that, as they help the church. What's also curious is John DeLynn. He, in his own manner, is also attacking me to protect the church. And you may think, no, John DeLynn is against the church. He's helping Mormons transition out of the church, Travis. What are you talking about? If you remember, not too many months ago, I talked about how John DeLynn had reached out to me and said, email me. I emailed him. Never heard back. I've been doing videos talking about how critics are not getting the true history of the origins of the church and of the Smith family. And as a result, I've noticed John DeLynn doing follow-up videos after I post my videos that deal with the subject matter that I talked about. And that becomes very disturbing, as John DeLynn clearly is paying attention to me so that he's getting ideas, but is helping to perpetuate the lies and deceptions that critics think that they've exposed of the church. And so nobody is investigating the church anymore, because critics think, well, everything's been investigated, the church is false, move along. We'll just keep rehashing the same old topics in different videos. And John DeLynn has a huge following. I mean, he's big time. You know, that's why the church exploited him, was because of his big following. You know, the church says, oh, you've got a following, therefore you have to be excommunicated. The church knows damn well that if you go after somebody publicly, it's going to blow back on you. Unless the person you are exposing in the public eye is somebody who's incorrect in their criticism. And this is where the church takes advantage of critics. You see, they pretend to be, oh no, somebody found out and published No Man Knows My History, or Rough Stone Rolling, or the Mormon Hierarchy, or Mormonism Magic Worldview, or doing videos, John DeLynn, and others. And yeah, John DeLynn is now going to rehash the CES letter on the 4th. He's going to upload the video. So apparently he's already done the interview, and he's now working on, I don't know, professionalizing it to then put it online. And yes, that's a follow-up to what I've been talking about not too long ago with this particular topic. And so nobody investigates the church anymore. Just me. That's it. Me. I'm your only source for the crimes and corruptions of the church. And so, as the church exploits the incorrect critics, so that Mormons can then say, oh no, see, they're wrong, this isn't correct, that then tells Mormons, oh yeah, because they're wrong, and they're just trying to fight against the church, fight against God. And so the Mormons become strengthened in their testimony, which is actually faith. And the church continues on, because the critics solidify the existence of the church. It may sound complicated in the manner in which I'm wording it, but if it makes sense to me. Because what they've done is now got John DeLynn to solidify the incorrect criticism of the church, as he's now being used to target me to tell LDS critics, no, Travis is wrong. So the church is saying I'm wrong to Mormons, and now John DeLynn is helping LDS critics to stay away from me as well. So, yay. Churches, no one dares to molest and make afraid the church, right? Thanks, John. And so let's review shortly here so that we can end this video quicker, so I don't run on long videos anymore. We'll try to make that a New Year's resolution. I've already failed on my New Year's resolutions. I was going to do a book a day to publish, or at least put on academia.edu, and I've already failed. It's now the second. I've already failed on the first. So, Nelson, in his solemn assembly conference, comes out and does away with the high priest group. He does away with home teaching and tells people that not to trust the news, because they're going to lie in the future. Well, what is it that they're going to be lying about? And so then he announces the temples, Russia. And then we find out a month later from Max Roth from Fox 13 News Utah that the church had created LLC companies at the beginning of 2018, and that they had received anonymous $32 billion collectively in all of those LLC companies, and then funneled it into the stock market. And that was it for the reporting. Max didn't draw any conclusions. He just reported the news. We've uncovered this. And so where did it come from? Why did the church do all these LLC companies, and why are we not allowed to see where the money came from? Well, for that, you got to go back to December of 2017. December 2017, Orrin Hatch made it his responsibility, as he was in charge of being a loyal servant to Donald Trump, the president put in that year by Russia. The Senate Intelligence Committee just came out with report number 5 last year. Russia did it. So there is no doubt or debate. And so Hatch, being a loyalist traitor, had that big scuffle that made the news with Democrat Senator Brown, about how Brown was saying, hey, no, this tax bill is for the rich. The poor aren't getting anything out of this. If anything, they're going to suffer even more from this bill. And then Hatch, to respond, says, I was born poor. And as it turns out, yeah, it was for the rich, and specifically for the church. And part of that was that LLC companies no longer have to report to the IRS where they get their money from. Yay! So they can get it from terrorist organizations, enemies of America. It doesn't matter, because they don't need to report it anymore. Isn't that great? And so, yes, it's quite shocking then that the church would immediately, when the new tax bill took place, which is why they rushed it in December, is now forming these LLC companies, of which they no longer need to report where the money comes, and announce that they are working with Russia. And so, if you're unfamiliar with how Russia does business, you have to show that you can be trusted. And in order to show that you can be trusted, you have to commit a crime for which they then hold compromat over you, so that they can control you and make sure that you can continue to be trusted. Because people can't be trusted, so you have to get dirt on them to expose them criminally if they betray you or not do what you want them to do. I'll do what you want me to do, oh Russia. you're unfamiliar with that church hymn. And so, yeah, this should have scared every single Mormon, but they did this all in secret. They have the various organizations all working together to make all this happen, so that the church can then say, oh, what? Oh, we had nothing to do with this. And we're just following the law. Yeah. And so now we realize what their future plans are. Because when did the church announce that they were going to shut down the Temple Square and the Salt Lake Temple for renovations? Yeah. And when did it get shut down? Yeah. And what happened? Coincidentally, when they shut it down? Yeah. The one temple, the one place, the one location that nobody in Mormonism is gathering, as the church will not shut down the church during coronavirus, as it continues to run rampant, as now the mutant strain is now caught hold in America, as vaccines are not being administered as fast as they need to be according to the amount that Utah has, even if that amount is not enough for what they had ordered. There's still 100,000 vaccines not given out. Why are you not giving out those vaccines? Why are you holding those back? And so, bad news, as the percentage of those getting infected is skyrocketing. We're at 41% for the last day's reporting. Nothing was yesterday because it was the holiday. And so, yes, the church is purposely using coronavirus to facilitate the plot and plan of Russia to destroy America. Now, why would the church do that? They're the Church of God. We're supposed to establish Zion. Remember all these other videos I'm talking about, and the ones I've been doing lately, where the Utah church has no interest in returning to Missouri or anywhere else, for that matter, to establish Zion. They're not going to Adam-on-Diamond for that great priesthood meeting where Jesus Christ comes from outer space flying on Pegasus and is going to be given the keys so that he can reign for the millennium. Why does Jesus need to be given keys? I thought he already got them on the Mount of Transfiguration. Why does Jesus need keys? Isn't he already the guy who has the keys? It just depends on your God, I guess, your interpretation of who God is. I've done those videos too. And so, yes, when is the temple supposed to be finished? 2024. And all Mormons know the date. They're expecting on the 6th of April, which is Saturday, which is General Conference. And so all Mormons know, if they've been paying attention to Mormonism, that there's going to be a special rededication ceremony for Saturday session of General Conference in 6 April 2024. But what else is going on that will occur on that Monday after General Conference weekend, when the new temple is established? The renovated temple. Yeah, there's the third day of darkness. Total solar eclipse that crosses over the one that occurred in the first year of the reign of Trump. When Trump became president in 2017. Monson's birthday. And then Monson died during John's Revelation 12 sign of the dragon, or the sign of the stars falling from the tail of the dragon. The dragon one was the 5th dark day of Hanukkah, that 2017 December. And so, if you're familiar with Joseph Smith's Mormonism, Joseph Smith said that we need to have Zion built before Christ. We need to get the temple, we need to have everything set up, ready to go. The Constitution's going to collapse, and we need to preserve the Constitution. We need to establish Zion. Well, oops. Constitution's gone. And nobody is even working on Zion. The church has got all sorts of other temples. They've been going hog wild this year, haven't they? Yeah. Dedication ceremony, or a groundbreaking ceremony here, a groundbreaking ceremony there, a groundbreaking ceremony everywhere but Zion. And yet they keep saying, oh yeah, second coming, we're preparing for the second coming, preparing. But you're not. You're not preparing. You keep saying there's a second coming, but you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing to prepare. And that deceives Mormons into thinking, oh yeah, we're preparing. Because nobody investigates the church. And so, what has the church been doing in other changes that have to do with the rededication ceremony of the Salt Lake Temple in 2024? Yeah, I exposed that in my lawsuit against the church. That Nelson's initial change resulted in the law of chastity allowing for polygamy, according to God's law. What's God's law? Section 132. What's Section 132? Polygamy, which replaced Section 131, as that was gutted, as well as replacing Joseph's chapter on monogamy, put in the last year, or the year before Brigham Young died. And we're all supposed to believe that it was Joseph Smith who had written it, and he had planned this way back in 1832, back when this supposed angel with a sword threatened Joseph Smith to openly practice polygamy or he's going to die. And yet, I guess he died 12 years later? Took that long? I guess God's merciful. Gave Joseph every opportunity to practice polygamy, and he failed. And so, wait a minute, didn't he practice it in secret? Wait, so why was he murdered? Because it wasn't public? What's going on? There's confusion there. Did the angel come or not? Well, yeah, when were the angel stories started to be circulated? Yeah, after 1852, when Brigham Young said, we're now practicing polygamy openly. This is what Joseph had intended to do and had been doing secretly. Got it. I now understand. John Dehlin does not understand. He's going to be talking about polygamy in his CES video that will be released on the 4th. And so he will not be talking about what I've just talked to you about. as I've been trying to talk to you about it. And he's responding by saying, no, don't listen to Travis. Travis is wrong. And so, yes, the church is going to reinstitute polygamy. And they've done away with the high priest group. And if you've paid attention to your Mormon scriptures, in order to go to the highest degree of the celestial kingdom, not only do you have to practice polygamy, according to 132, you also have to be a priest after the order of Melchizedek, a high priest. But wait, the high priest group Nelson has taken away. And as a result, only those who become church leaders are going to be high priest now. Not elders quorum president leaders, bishops, stake presidents, stake high council. And then those are the ones who are going to be chosen for the 70, and then those chosen for apostles, and those chosen, not chosen, that's whoever outlives the others, who gets to be the next president. Do you see how that works? And so, what's this coronavirus doing? Isn't it interesting timing? And it came out in just the nick of time because the whistleblower from Enzyme Peak Associates, ooh, man, 100 billion alone for tithing, plus an extra 40 billion with a stock portfolio. Showing that, yes, they do control YouTube so that they can suppress critics like me. And so, the coronavirus is the desolating scourge that Joseph Smith warned us about in 4531. And it's being used to kill off those who are weak, physically weak. They're the ones most susceptible. So thus the elderly, who are the majority of high priests, the elderly. We now have a mutant strain that's now taken hold as we are slowly rolling out the vaccine, as many die. Do you not see their plan now? Nelson contacted China in January. He knew how deadly this virus was. And yet, nonetheless, he is refusing to follow the scriptural example of Moses during his viral outbreak in Egypt. Stay home until it passes over. And if necessary, we will use Joseph of Egypt's storehouses to provide you with survival necessities. Church isn't prepared. They purposely were not prepared. The church is not giving what they can give, purposely withholding substance, purposely allowing death, purposely allowing the spread, purposely allowing the escalation, purposely extorting Governor Herbert to allow all of it to happen. And the church is purposely staying open now. Don't be fooled. This is their plan. They're planning to turn Utah, and as much land as Russia will allow them to have, into the new kingdom of Deseret. Whether they call it Zion, who knows? We'll see. But that is the current plans as planned. And they will have slaves, they will have polygamy, and so if you're an elder and you're living during this time, you're not going to be allowed a wife, because all the women eligible for breeding will be assigned to high priests, who will be the leaders of the church. And so as an elder, you then become a slave to do the grunt work for the church leaders. This is how it's going to work. Well, I already see this from what they're planning already, because there aren't going to be any wives for you to marry. Oh no, you've turned 26, you're now a menace to society because there are no women. So does that make you a menace to society if there is no women for you to marry? Maybe they'll allow brothels again, like Brigham Young did, for those Mormons who didn't get to marry a woman. We shall see. That was also for Brigham Young. Too many divorces, I guess, causing him emotional turmoil that he needed comfort in the arms of a woman he can pay. Or maybe he didn't have to pay since he owned that brothel on Commerce Street. Regent Street. So, yeah, this is dangerous, guys. Heads up, because Albert Pike also confirmed this. Let me go over it, as I failed to meet my New Year's resolution to keep videos short, didn't I? Come on. Let's see, it's this section, as things are slow. How is it under Albert Pike? Yep. For his Third World War, which we are in, his whole purpose and plot was to destroy Christianity. I had to go over with somebody about how Nazi is an actual German word, and thus, even though Nazis had not yet been formed as an organization, they emerged with the name because of the German word. And so, as Albert Pike was using it, he was using it in terms of a peasant revolt of fascism to go against the Zionist, which had just barely emerged when he had written this letter. Seriously, Windows? Updates are supposed to improve the system, not make it worse. And so 3 hours have gone by as we're now at the white screen stage. Well, this is all part of the plot, is messing with the economy. The church, along with the other big corporations, are war profiteering from the coronavirus, if you hadn't been paying attention to the news. Okay, so Albert Pike has already confirmed that the Illuminati had infiltrated the Scottish Rites, and thus the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints through Brigham and Heber C. Kimball. And thus the reason for the inverted pentagrams. because it's a symbol of the Illuminati, of Lucifer. And so the war must be conducted in such a way that Islam and political Zionism mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economic exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists, which are the destructionists, that let's just destroy everything. And Steve Bannon is one such nihilist who reported to the Daily Beast, which was reported by MSNBC, that I have that picture that I've used, where he says, yeah, I want to destroy everything, start all over, and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm. Do you think 2020's social cataclysm counts? Yeah. Because not only did the coronavirus destroy society, as people are divided on whether or not they should wear a mask, but also, remember that whole Black Lives Matter movement? It's still going on, you know. There are still cops killing unarmed black people. So yeah, this was the whole intention. He doesn't say virus here. It was Joseph Smith who revealed that it was going to be a virus, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. He's going to have people become unchristlike. So yes, how many people love your neighbor by infecting them and having them murdered? How many people love their neighbor by telling them that they're deep state Democrats, space alien lizards who are satanic pedophiles? And I've gone over, that's what Russia does. They're behind all that nonsense, you know. But yeah, who's from outer space? And also Satanists of the Illuminati, and also have recently been exposed in the news after I've been the one reporting it this whole time, about the Boy Scouts being raped. Yeah, the church. Then everywhere, the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries. Yeah, Trump loyalists will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity. Why would they be disillusioned of Christianity? When is the timing of this Third World War? When the signs of the Second Coming are occurring. They timed this perfectly. They know exactly what they're doing. And it's their intention to destroy Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration. How will they do that? How will they cause a massive faith crisis for Christians? Well, it has to be in their belief of the Christ. Yeah, he's not coming from outer space on Pegasus, is he? And when you have such a cataclysm, physical cataclysm of the desolating scourge, where Nelson is egging on Mormons. Oh yeah, fast. Oh, it didn't work? Oh, let's have a fast on Good Friday. A fast. Oh, it's not working? Well, we're not closing the church. You need to show gratitude. That will heal coronavirus. Yeah. As Mormons are waiting for a second coming, that's never going to come. As the church leaders keep exposing them to the virus, and now to the mutant strain. As the church continues to remain open, as the church continues to blame you if you get sick and die, as they can claim, oh, wow, this is a really devastating virus. If only we had known back in January when I contacted China and they told me. And so here's what's going to happen in 2024. We'll receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. And it sure does help to exterminate human life with a coronavirus, which takes away the hope of the people. Because I've noticed the liberal media have been, through this whole Trump administration, keep looking to a future hope that when it finally does arrive, it fails to give that hope. And then they say, oh, okay, now we have this other hope in the future. Now this other hope. Now this other hope. Over and over and over again, the hope is smashed, crushed, destroyed. And the liberal press just keep on going to the next thing. The current one right now, it's the Georgia election, with the backup hope of January 20th? Yeah, 20th, when Biden takes over at noon. Are we sure we are even going to make it? Again, each hope that the liberal press keeps giving us keeps getting crushed. So what do you think's going to happen in Georgia? The news sure speculates, don't they? Oh no, so-and-so Purdue, I think, is in quarantine. And then you have the tax bill or not the tax bill, the stimulus for 2000. That's another thing. And I've reported, as others have reported, that it's actually a trap. They're going to give you 2,000, but then they're going to take away your internet abilities to communicate and protect the church and any other corporation that runs the internet, so that the church will be the sole source of news rather than guys like me who are exposing them. So this is the danger we face. And Mormons obviously trust Nelson. They follow the law of sacrifice. sacrificing your lives, if necessary, for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as they will commit crimes for the church, to protect the church, to attack critics like me, those types of Christ-like examples. Jesus Christ was a cyber bully. Didn't you know that? The GOP Jesus, he was a cyber bully. Then you have John Dehlin, who also is attacking me by thinking he's presenting the correct critical information about the church, when instead he's actually helping the church, because I'm the one person who's investigating the crimes and corruption of the church, as I just laid out for you, as I again violated or failed my New Year's resolution, second New Year's resolution, on the very day that I made it. But yeah, how do I get it through to people when I have so much opposition against me?